Good morning, Rebecca. Well, and you?
I'm well, thank you. My first question for you is, during your tenure as a commissioner at the Commission for Gender Equality, what do you think were the biggest obstacles in accessing justice for women in South Africa?
Well, I think the Commission for Gender Equality is an oversight body. And for me, the biggest problem was that we had the budget of the Commission smaller than any of the other commissions. So in terms of finances for work to do was a problem. But I also think what I saw when we were doing work with women in the communities is that in order for you to actually access the legal system, you need money. So if there's no non-profit organization who's prepared to do it pro bono, it is a problem. And I think very often issues pertaining to the private sphere, like violence in the home, like sexual abuse, a lack of access to healthcare, been big problems for women, especially in communities where there are not the necessary facilities for women to access.
That's interesting. Do you think that there's a chance that the budget might increase going forward whilst women's issues become more important?
Well, even in my time, and I was there from 2012 to 2014, we tried to change that because there's no rational reason for it to be smaller. But that's still an ongoing struggle.
Okay. I was going to ask if anything has changed in your view, and obviously when you say the budget still remains a primary concern, it means that all the other issues can't be addressed. The stats in terms of gender violence in South Africa are shocking. And last year and the year before, there was quite a big movement in terms of the feminism, in terms of making our voices heard, especially to the powers that be. Do you think government has been responsive the best way they can to those issues, to the demands, to the memorandum that was placed before the president after the total shutdown movement?
Well, I think hashtag #EndRapeCulture in 2015-16 and hashtag Total Shutdown made it very clear that women are absolutely fed up with all the violence. And it is shocking. But I think if we look at, for example, when I was a commissioner, one of the projects that I did was to work with the Shelter Network of the Western Cape and the Women's Legal Centre, and we looked at funding for shelters for domestic violence. And we looked at what the government should be subsidizing and what the government actually was subsidizing. We wrote a beautiful report, and when we launched that report, government didn't come to the table. The minister wasn't there. So the question is about political will. At that same time, we started an initiative to cost the violence to the state, right? So what does it cost the state every year to deal with the violence? And that includes, for example, hospitalization, interdicts, court cases, dealing with broken furniture, all the types of things that are actually related to the violence. And we started a project that it was taken over by PMG that actually then did a big investigation into the costs. And they found it's between 28 and 42 billion rand per year. So if you do prevention, you're going to save. It's going to cost the state less. But the idea here is that we deal with perpetrators, right? And there's the ANC Women's League idea of rapists should rot in jail, which is not the right approach to the issue of violence. So it's about political will, about looking at the cost and saying we cannot afford this as a country. And then also looking at the construction of masculinities. Why is it that South Africa is such a violent country? The intimate femicide, why do men feel entitled to kill? So I think, we will need to get civil society, women's organizations together with government, and I think that's what Total Shutdown tried. But we need far more consultation. Earlier this week I went to the provincial consultation on the National Strategic Plan for Gender-Based Violence. Now, there were many civil societies organizations in the room, but clearly, you know, we need much more of that. And I'm not sure, when I looked at what happened during that day, there was a lot of really good ideas, and I think the bottom line was, well, we can only take on board things that can be funded, and there's not a lot of money. So what's the point in saying we have consultations and then already we're preempting and saying there's no money? Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for chatting with us.
It's a pleasure.